Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. This is episode number 220, season fucking 9, Josh. We've been doing this for 9 freaking seasons, dude. That shit's crazy. I am one of your lovely hosts, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by our other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to Walters.
Hi, Walters, and other folks that may or may not listen in the future.
Yeah, they'll listen, just not live at the time. But yeah, like I said, welcome back, everyone. Season 9. I can't believe we're still here. We can't believe we're still here. But we appreciate you joining us.
If our podcast was a child, he'd be like working right now, smoking cigs, and
Yes, obviously. But Josh, it's been a long time. We didn't even do a draft pod. I don't know if we also skipped one the previous season or if this is the first time we've kind of skipped a draft pod, but I don't know. Around the time, I wasn't necessarily feeling it. I wasn't very inspired by the Vikings draft class. Vikings didn't even have a GM. They only had an interim GM during our draft, so nothing that exciting for me. I don't feel like you were overly inspired by the Packers draft, so neither of us felt, neither of us certainly motivated the other to be like, all right, come on, let's make a podcast,
Yeah, well, the Packers didn't have a first-round pick, which isn't helpful when you're doing first-round projections, and that's kind of where the interest lies.
That's true.
But the draft class as a whole, I would say, pretty solid as far as results. I'm pretty happy with what I'm hearing out of camp, or at least reading on Reddit and their opinions on what's coming out of camp. So, it's like...
Well, if you're getting all your reporting from Reddit, I think you guys have already won the Super Bowl then, based on that subreddit.
Well, so is 30 other teams, but
ladies. But yeah, so all that's to say, it's been a long time. We haven't been on the airwaves since it's got to be last January, and of course, the people who listen have seen you since then. But just hypothetically, if we had one listener out there, let's say an Eric's or a Mika came back, and they didn't know anything about Josh for the past 8 months, what would you say? How has Josh been over the past 8 months?
Ups and downs. Just, obviously got to start playing baseball again. That's been fun. Been really enjoying that. We had to put Odin down. That's a down. And so that's still kind of raw and rough to deal with, but slowly getting better. And so day by day. And then another down being had my first, not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's my first major owie, but my first owie that's caused me to miss time in a sport. Where I partially tore my meniscus and sprained my LCL. So I had a 4-week recovery period. So I'm taking the fall off softball. Probably going to go back to play fall baseball because I'm going to be honest, I looked at the stats for that, and I think I had better batting stats in baseball than I did softball this season. So
really?
It's kind of, I was hitting around 400 in baseball. I don't know. I probably was hitting higher than that in softball, but I don't know. Baseball's it's just an itch,
It's
like a heroin addict getting out of rehab and going back and finding it again. Yeah.
I mean, and so what? So you're in like is it a recreational league? Is it technically like a semi-pro league? I know you're sponsored by General Mills or something, or is that just a bit? I'm very unfamiliar with the whole actual like parameters.
It's not semi-pro. It's amateur baseball, adult baseball.
Okay.
And so there are like constitution rules and things like that. There's like a web page and stats and a Hall of Fame and all that jazz, but it is just essentially like run by the managers. And so I'm trying to think, like they have an all-star game each year, and that's just mainly voted on by the teams of who gets to go. General Mills isn't our sponsor. Our team is the Generals because the guy who started it worked at General Mills. So he was able to use that as like a logo and everything. Bunch of the guys are really nice. I think that you'd get along with all of them too, or half of them at least, just because the conversations that we've had. One of them is a professional arm wrestler, which is hilarious to think about. And yeah, overall, it's been a great season. I enjoy it. Asher's enjoyed going and watching. A little bummed that I missed the last week and then missing this week and then the playoffs, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
Gar, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. No, but I just one more question. It's like a traveling thing, right? Because I remember at one point you said you were coming to BBC. I forget when that was, so I never came to see you, and I never followed up either. So maybe that makes me a bad friend. But you guys travel around. It sounds like.
every team has their home field. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, so it's expensive to play. Softball is like $80 a person, but um, and so this was closer to 400 or 500. But that's because we have to pay the fees for the fields, the fees for the umps, the fees for the league itself to host the website and everything, the local one at least. And so it's a lot of different things that go into it. And then the managers are in charge of organizing all of that. So if we wanted to start our own team, which is something Jordan and Glick and all them have talked about, it would cost a lot of money to get going because
Sure.
you have to do all that and organize that and then make sure people pay you. And that's kind of the big thing.
But also I think that's probably good. I mean, I guess you could have like there'd be like these random rich people that have nothing better to do, but otherwise, like, it's got to be a league of people who like are really passionate, not necessarily really passionate about baseball, but just people that want to be there because there's like that steeper barrier to entry, you know. So I assume that kind of gets rid of riffraff in the league, which is probably nice.
Yeah, and there's a tryout process. Like they used to prior to. I was getting the kind of rundown early on, and prior to COVID, they had tryouts where they'd have like everybody that was interested in playing that wasn't on a draft those players. So kind of like a combine of sorts.
Sure.
Since COVID happened, they stopped doing that, and it's now more so just word of mouth. So when I got onto this team, I had emailed all of the teams that were in my area because there are a few that are like down in Bloomington that I'm not going to go to for home games. That's 8-9 games that I'd be having to drive an hour.
That'd be horrendous. Yeah.
And this one's based out of Maple Grove, so it's 30 minutes. And so basically, I just emailed 6 teams, got a response back from the majority of them saying that they're full up. And then this one we're always looking for players, come out and try out, and it worked out.
Sick. Okay, yeah, I was just really curious, and this is sports podcast, but I think that's pretty neat. And it's unfortunate you're injured, but you'll be back next year. You'll be killing it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be back in a couple weeks. That's because that's when fall ball starts. They play Wednesdays and Sundays.
That's right.
Yeah, but kind of taking it easy because I mowed the lawn the other day, and as I'm walking, my knees clicking and everything, and that's fine. My knee's done that for a while. I don't even think I have meniscus.
That's
in my
a feature,
left knee.
not a bug. That's how you know your knee works.
Yeah, but it's just the LCL. I could definitely feel when it gets tight and starts pulling. That was not fun. That was basically me having to lift my leg to put in the bathtub or over the bathtub railing just to get into the shower in the morning in the night.
Gotcha, sure.
And yeah, it was not an easy recovery from that for the first couple days.
Well, very selfishly, and obviously I'm not rooting for you to get injured, but I'm glad it worked out just in the sense that you're going to be available for the draft next weekend, so that's sick.
Yeah, and I think that it would have worked out anyways, just based on the times, because they need to win tomorrow in order to make the playoffs. And so that's something that they're trying to get me to play through the injury to hit. And then they said, we'll just have someone run for you. You just need to get a single or two. And I said, no, I can't. My wife says no.
Sure. Nikita shut him down. He's on the IL.
But yeah, it sounds like it would have worked out anyways, just based on the times that they had been playing. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's sick though. Glad you have that opportunity. And that was our first that's our first 9 minutes of baseball talk. You're actually listening to the Hidden Oaks Overdose 8-ball blitz. I don't know. Tried to make a drug joke there. Anyways,
bases loaded.
There you go, bases loaded. But okay, yeah, and also of course, we're not going to do a moment of silence or whatever, but shout out to Odin resting in Valhalla. I'm sure he'll greet you at the front gate someday. I'm sure he's sitting there fucking howling, and every single person who crosses into Valhalla, they can't get in until they give Odin at least 90 seconds of belly rub. So, shout out to OG Odin. But yeah, so how am I doing? I won't go nearly as deep as we did into baseball, but I'm doing good. I mean, 8 months, I cannot even comprehend what I've done for 8 months. I don't know. I've done some stuff. I've not done some other stuff. Recently, I've been playing Halo. I read 3 books in the past couple weeks. I did a little reading recently. Felt inspired again to, I don't know, do a bunch of research on Reddit for like creative payout. Like my fantasy football juices are flowing a little bit later this year than normal, but they did eventually flow, which is good because there's a couple years recently where I was just did not want to be in the commissioner role, and then I still trudged through anyways. But this year, feel energized, feel excited. So Just took a little bit longer than normal, so that's good.
Yeah.
But no deaths or anything, fortunately for me. I know that's a
like
privilege.
Regular ones get a little bit clogged.
What's that?
Well, you've got some fantasy arteries that are like regular ones, and sometimes they can get clogged. Not a lot of
brother,
flow
at this,
through there, and that's.
You've seen my body. All my arteries are clogged, whether metaphorical or literal, so it happens. But no tragedies, thankfully, but nothing overly amazing. I still got the same job, still got the same girlfriend, still got the same, Range is doing well. He turned 70. Maybe that's a big highlight. The Range turned 70 in the past 8 months and back in February. But yeah, we're just moving and cruising along, and I'm excited for another fun-filled season of football. Speaking of, Josh, we're here today to talk about our 272. That's what, not how we're doing, but what we're doing. Pretty much every single year. I don't know if we started our first season or our second season, but we've been doing this a long time. This is season 9 of the podcast. So, yeah, let's start by going, if you have it open, let's start by just looking at last year real quick and kind of see what teams or what conference or what divisions you did well with, rather. Just kind of see, maybe there's, of course, sometimes there's going to be injuries we don't foresee, or maybe, you were just wrong about a coach or something. But let's just, review how we did last year very quickly so people know why they should listen to us. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at the overall number, and I'm just going to try every year I do this, where I'm not sure how to read this, or I don't know. I just try to guess on how I read this, but I got 57.5% of the 272 right. So, over 50% on guessing win-loss, which is kind of, if you're going, win-loss, that's kind of what you're expecting because it's 50% chance anyways.
There you go.
But I had 2 perfect teams as far as overall record goes, the Rams and Pittsburgh. And then I had 10 teams that were either a half win or a 1 win off. And that is primarily, I believe, that AFC. Just looking through this here, a lot of blue teams. So maybe blue is going to be the color that
Josh is very in tune with blue.
Yeah. And then a couple that were 2 or 2.5 games off because there were ties last year. Silly sports. Only one team or 1 or 2 teams based on injury that I was very far off on, which would be Seattle. I don't know if you know this, but they ended up winning the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold.
What?
I was 10 games off on that one.
Yeah, you had Seattle getting only 4 wins. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then Kansas City because of the Patrick Mahomes injury. Chicago and Jacksonville I wasn't really on as well.
Nice.
As far as best divisions go, I believe my best division was the AFC East, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah, you just want the bigger number, yeah.
Yeah, the AFC East, and then I had a 3-way tie with NFC West, NFC North, and AFC North.
So do you think,
based on percentages?
Right. So then do you think, what is it about the AFC East? Do you think that the Jets are predictably bad and the other, or the Jets and Miami were predictably bad and the Buffalo and New England were predictably good? Is it just that simple, or what makes you so in tune with those? Do you think a division you should not be that in tune with?
Yeah, no, it's definitely that. The Jets are, if they win more than 4 games, they're throwing a parade. Miami, last year with their just everything going on, similar situation. And then New England I had predicted to be pretty good, over 500 under Vrabel. And then Buffalo is always going to be, in that double-digit win range.
Nice. Josh beat me last year. He had 57, 58%. I only had 50, if I round up, 54%. So Josh beat me. I mean, it's nice to be above 500. That means, I'm slightly better than just a coin flip, I guess. But the last year was not my year. The only teams I were perfect on were Atlanta and Philly for whatever reason. I knew Atlanta was going to be a very middle of the road team, and I knew Philly was going to be 11-6, I guess. Those were my only 2 zeros. I had Green Bay within half a win because those fuckers tied a game, as Josh alluded to. And the Rams I knew were going to be good. The Giants I knew were going to be bad. And the San Francisco 49ers I knew were going to be pretty decent. My best division, let's look at the... Oh my God, I was horrendous with the NFC South. Jesus Christ. NFC South I was really bad with. My best division, no shocker, was the NFC North. That's what I expected of Josh. That's what I got for me. Chicago I was the most off on, of course. I did not expect Chicago to win 11 games. I had them only winning 5 games. So I guess the combination of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams was the truth, at least for their first season. We'll see if it maintains. Otherwise, with Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota, I was within 2 games for each of those teams. So if not for Chicago, then I would have been much better. But yeah, still my best division overall. That's it. That's how we did last year. Just, Josh closer to 60%, me closer to 50%. So maybe listen to Josh a little bit more if you're going to start using these for some of your props, your season-long props or something. But without further ado, Josh, what are we doing? Are we doing the AFC here? Is that what we want to do? Or how do we want to split this up? 16 teams today.
Oh, boy. I'm nervous. I don't know. Don't ask me. Should
All
we just
right,
draw teams out of a hat?
I say I want to do it different. So you mentioned we have the first column A here is just AFC or NFC. I want to do East and West today. So let's start with the ear. I'll filter it myself because the filter should update for you, right?
Okay.
We'll start with the AFC and the NFC East, and then we'll also do the did you select the West? God damn it. Okay.
I
that
didn't
works.
touch nothing.
There we go. That should be 16 teams, right? Yeah, there we go. We have the NFC East, the AFC East, the NFC West, and the AFC West. Josh, it's filtered for you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll have you start then, Josh. The number 1 team being Arizona in the NFC West.
Yeah, NFC. Well, okay, I'm making sure I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right one. I have them going 4-13. Just too many question marks is what I put as far as the one-ish word feeling on the team. Oh, I suppose I should preface with this. So I actually looked into some different numbers. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did. I was very curious to hear what you did.
So it's called the Football Power Index, as brought to you by ESPN. So it's an actual stat that they run. The numbers that you see are going to be, if each team, if they were to play their opponents on a neutral field, this is the number that they'd be projected to win or lose by each week. So it's like a higher number is good, lower number bad. And so it's like the point differential each week on a neutral field. Last season, Arizona was -5. They were the 26th ranked team with 3 wins. And if you were to look at it from last year and do and sort it by the number, you would see that it kind of lines up with their rank. There are a few outliers. Looking at you, Minnesota, way too many wins for their Football Power Index. And then I think Chicago was another one that was higher than they're expected as well. But then based on this one, their 2025 wins was only 3, and then they were the 26th ranked, so makes sense. This year, they're projected to actually be worse with their Football Power Index, and that's where the too many questions came in. They needed help on the offensive line and defense, and they drafted a running back. So now I believe that brought their depth chart up to 5 running backs, but it is a apparently generational talent who also has a high ankle sprain. So I have them going 4-13.
Gotcha. I was a little bit higher on the Cardinals than you were. I gave them 7-10. They got fucking fire in your gut. This guy's gone.
You have fire in your gut. You have fire in your gut.
Yeah. Welcome to Green Bay, buddy.
Gut.
My gut's on fire.
Yeah, dude, that guy's. Oh fuck. Anyways, they got Mike. They got the other LaFleur now. They got Mike LaFleur. They got Jeremiah Love. They got Jacoby Brissett. They got the same DC. I don't know. Like, you have them power rank 29. I have them power rank 26. So it's not like either of them are particularly high. Either of us are particularly high on them. But I gave them 7 wins. I do like Jacoby Brissett. Like, obviously, there's a reason he has not come to be like an every year starter. There's a reason he's had the journey he's had, being the journeyman. How many times can I say journey? But I think they're going to squeak out more wins than 4. For whatever reason, I had more confidence in them this year. Maybe just, if nothing else, getting this guy to the building.
You have fire in your gut.
That's got to be worth a couple wins, I think. So I have them going 7-10, but our power ranking difference is only 3. Like I said, you going 29, me going 23.
Yeah, I don't even remember
next
setting
up,
a
we're
power
just going.
ranking. Did you?
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Did you do that for me? Because I don't remember putting my power ranking.
Well, yes. Now that I'm
total?
looking at it, I misunderstood. I just saw RK rank for you. I must not have scrolled all the way to the left. And I'm just taking the football index rank. So you did not put in a football rank. I'm just taking the football index rank, I guess.
No, that's all right. We'll just make it up as we go. But yeah, 29 sounds about right.
Okay, yeah. If you're only giving them 4 wins, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next. We're just going in alphabetical order here of the East and West, so it's not going to be doing all the NFC West first. So next is the Buffalo Bills. I have the Buffalo Bills going 12-5. Joe Brady is their head coach. You guys remember Sean McDermott got fired, but they kept being in charge and they kept most of the team in place. They just got rid of their really good defensive-minded head coach, and then they're like, you know what? Let's keep everything else the same because maybe that's what Josh Allen wanted. It's still kind of, I don't know. I'm losing faith in the organization. That starts from ownership down because if they keep Brandon Beane in place and got rid of Sean McDermott, I don't know. Obviously, the team is still super talented. They're much more than just a paper tiger. Like we've seen them have success, not Super Bowl success, but we've seen them be very, very good consistently now. So 12 wins is still very good. It's starting to feel like a bad culture, a bad front office, a bad whatever. So I have them power rank 8. I don't have them as, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they won the Super Bowl this year, but just whatever's happening behind the scenes for that team is unfortunately, is going to trickle into their on the field product. And so I don't see a Super Bowl for them this year, but you can never count Josh Allen out. How do you feel about the Bills, Josh?
Well, I had them going 13-5. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure. You can say whatever you want. I don't.
Okay.
He's not like Voldemort.
They're probably my second ranked team based on this. Looking at their football power index from last year, they had 12 wins with a 3.5, which was the 7th ranked. This year, they're projected 4 points. So they're actually projected to get more points, which actually is my note. DJ Moore is now their number 1 wide receiver, which should help lead to more points, considering last year's number 1 wide receiver was Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman. And so that's just a disaster waiting to happen. But experts, aka DraftKings Sportsbook, have them at 10.5 wins. So we both had them going over that number. But DraftKings, I think that was the highest that they went was 10 wins for teams.
Gotcha.
Moving on to Dallas, the Cowboys. For whatever reason, I had them going 11-6 this year. They
sound
lost
like
Big
you.
Mike. Yeah, they lost Big Mike. I do think that their offense is pretty solid. They've got CD and Pickens. Last year, their defense was absolutely atrocious. They brought in longtime Green Bay lazy man, Rashawn Gary, to help shore up that pass rush. He'll be good for 1 or 2 efforts a game. But they apparently think that's going to help with their overall power index. They are my 11th ranked team, according to this, which was just ESPN's rank, I guess. But my note on them was they still have that turnstile defense. I don't think they made many adjustments on that. And yet 11-6 is what I had them going.
I mean, yeah, I have them go. I'm not nearly as high. I'm traditionally today. This is this opposite year because traditionally I'm much higher on the Cowboys than you are. But maybe I've just been disappointed one too many times. I have a little bit of dysfunction for them this year. I have them going 7-10, which probably isn't fair. They'll probably get more wins, but they're just that classic perennial paper tiger. And maybe I felt like their schedule was more difficult this year. I didn't take notes as I was doing the thing, but I gave them 7 wins and 10 losses. We know their team's talented. They have amazing offensive talent. They just got that stud safety in the first round of the draft. I know they're pretty aggressive in free agency.
Garlic, there's something wrong with this.
What's with what?
Well, because my notes show that I have Arizona with 14 wins.
Oh, yeah, that's not right. What happened?
Oh, hang on. I know what I did.
Oh, is it just because it was sorted a different way? You just got to resort it?
I sorted the sheet a different way. Yeah. Okay.
There we go. So you had Dallas going 9-8.
Oh, thank goodness. That is definitely more what I expected. I had Buffalo going 14-3, Dallas going 9-8. Oh my goodness. I was questioning a lot of my life choices when I had them going 11 wins.
You had the 4-13, right? So maybe you were like, okay, let me give them their power rank mid-show, so then you went to go re-rank your standings. Maybe that's what you were doing. But
that's exactly what I did.
I have it just referencing your cell instead of hard-coded in. So I mean, if you want to go resort it real quick and grab your copy your rankings and then paste them somewhere else.
Nah, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I'm just.
But yeah, okay. So you have them going 9 and 8. LOL.
Oh, thank goodness.
But yeah, I'm still lower on the Cowboys than you are. So, perennial paper target, and I said not enough spirit. I don't know. There's just something tells me I'm not gonna like Dallas very much this year. I have them power rank at 20th. Moving on to the next team in our list here is going to be the Denver Broncos. Everyone famously knows Denver Broncos made it to the AFC Championship game, but they made it with no Bo. Who the fuck was their starter?
I don't care. Jarrett Stidham, I think.
Was it Studham? I thought it was even someone else. But either way, if it was Studham, good for him. Whatever happened, obviously they did not win that AFC Championship game. Got to see Sean Payton do his stupid fucking duck face on the sideline for a long time. I know Walters hates Sean Payton more than any reasonable human should, but I have the Denver Broncos going 10-7 this year. I think they overachieved in 2025. They're still a solid team. I'm not here to disrespect them, but I just think whatever they got 14 wins or something last year. I'll get definitely double-digit wins. I think they're a solid team, but no Super Bowl this year. I have them power ranked 12th.
Yeah, I had them going 11-6 this year. Last season, they were in that football power index 0.5. So they were pretty close, kind of one of those one possession games most of the season, it looks like, based on that number. They did have 14 wins, but then they're projected to do a little bit better this year in that regard. I think bringing in Jalen Waddle helps. Their defense has always been solid. I did have a note saying I hate you because I don't know if you remember this, Gar, but they did beat Green Bay and it led to that's the game that Micah tore his ACL, and the Packers didn't win a single game the rest of the year. But they're projected 9.5 wins from Vegas. We both have them going over, me with 11, you with 10. I do think that they overachieved last year, but I do think that they're still a playoff team. My power ranking, it says 15 based on the football power index, but I do think that they'll be a top 12 team at the end of the season.
There you go. So we both both agree they're a playoff team, but yeah, we're not thinking Super Bowl for them this year.
No, unlikely. It was unfortunate because Bo Nix was doing well last year. He is my Champions Branch Out quarterback, so I'm hoping that he has a pretty solid year this year, that him and Waddle can connect. So we'll see. Moving on to one of their rivals in their division, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. Those Chiefs are not necessarily the Chiefs of old. Well, they are old, but they're not the Chiefs of yesteryear. I have them going 10-7. Last year, they were very terrible. I don't think that they got clicking on all cylinders in offense at all. Their defense was a little bit up and down. And so they only had 6 wins last season. But I do have them going 10-7. Maybe that wedding ring on Kelsey's finger is going to help, magnetize the ball a little bit. But my biggest question mark, my biggest question mark is Patrick Mahomes, because last year he was a little bit more meh than usual. He always has a lot of turnover-worthy plays. This year, if he gets those down and his ACL, his ACL is healthy. I do think that they'd be better than last year. They just got to keep Rashida Rice out of the driver's seat of cars, and then keep everybody healthy.
Nice, dude. I had the Chiefs going 10-7, so we're kind of we're in a similar ballpark here. They have the youngest defense in the league. They're kind of, might kind of note, because also I probably should have said this at the top, and no random stranger from Reddit will ever hear this, but shout out to all the people on Reddit who do like the off-season recap posts and like within our NFL, the NFL subreddit. Because like no other journalists out there really, like maybe someone will do like these little listicles, but otherwise there's no comprehensive like off-season recap all the way from, all the way from free agency up until training camp. Like no journalists do that. So shout out to the people on Reddit who do these huge off-season recaps, which make it super convenient for me as like a one-stop shop to like do all the research on a team and how they're different from the year before. So I appreciate Reddit for that. It definitely helps me when doing this process. But all that's to say, I really feel like Kansas City is reinventing themselves. They've never been known as like a power running team. They go out and they get Kenneth Walker. They obviously revamped their defense a lot, traded away Trent McDuffie, became super young on that side of the ball. So, yet to be seen if they can have success, and, yet to be seen how healthy Mahomes is going to be. But I think it's hard to bet against him. Maybe it's going to be a very different Chiefs than what we're used to. It's not going to be, an empty tray, reckless abandon, 5 wide type system this year. Not that they're ever that exactly, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be the Patrick Mahomes does everything miracle on every play. I think it's going to be a different brand of Chiefs football, and I have faith in Andy Reid, so I think 10-7 is reasonable. I could also see them only getting 5 wins. It depends on how horrendous that defense plays, but I go 10-7. I have them power ranked 11. I don't see a Super Bowl for them this year unless that defense really comes out of nowhere. But always a playoff team with Andy Reid there. Moving on, Josh. This year is my year. If there's any soccer fans out there, my fandom is on loan. I've loaned out my fandom. I am not a main Vikings fan this year. I am a main Chargers fan this year. This is the year, Josh. The LA Super Bowl is coming. Chargers are going to play a home game in the Super Bowl. I have the Chargers going 14-3 with Mike McDaniel calling the plays. Herbert's going to be the MVP of the season. Super Bowl bound. And I did this before their center got hurt in training camp. They go out, sign a free agent center because their inside line was horrendous last year. And now their center already looks like he's pretty much going to be out for the season. They said out indefinitely. It sounds like it's more of a partial tear of the ALC or the ACL and the MCL or something. I don't know. They've been pretty hush-hush about it, but... So maybe the Chargers injury curse is too powerful of a force, but I fucking believe, Josh, this year's the year. Chargers are going all the way. I'm all in, and that's how I feel. How do you feel, Josh?
Not that way. I love me some Justin Herbert. I have them going 10-7. I think that they do better than last year. Get another year of Omarion Hampton, Aranda Gadsden. Yeah, whatever. And so that's going to be helpful to them. They have Quentin Johnson, who apparently just realized, if I catch the ball, I don't get yelled at. And so that happened last year, which is nice. I believe that their defense it's okay. Not going to turn many heads, but it's not going to implode on them.
They lost their DC. Jesse Minter, now the head coach of the Ravens. So that defense is the biggest question mark for sure.
Right. But yeah, my biggest takeaway as far as my one-ish word feeling on that team is ouch, because I did do mine after the center got hurt. And so Vegas had them at 10.5, which was still after the center going down. I have them at 10-7. I do think that they could squeak into the playoffs just based on Herbert being pretty solid. It's going to be not because of the OC making the play calls, but because of Herbert laughing and saying, "We're going to do it my way, buddy."
Why do you hate Mike McDaniel? What did Mike McDaniel do to you?
I don't know. He didn't do a whole lot to me. I just think that I heard him speak once and I was like, don't like that. So
Josh has always been a boomer in sheep's clothing, dude. Don't let anyone fool you. He's not a millennial. Josh is a boomer.
Well, I could have told you that. Yeah, but overall, I do think that it'll be interesting. I do think Harbaugh and McDaniel might have some great sound clips coming out of it, and I will say, Gar, I'll give flowers when they're due.
Okay.
Hearing Mike McDaniel go, "What was that?" when he saw Justin Herbert throw a ball, because he's only been watching Noodle Arm Tua throw the ball for the last few years. It did kind of give me a little bit of a chuckle. So thank you, McDaniel, for that. Moving on to possibly the biggest favorites in this modern era for the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams. I have them going 14-3. They were 12-5 last season. I do think that they got better trading for Myles Garrett. They've got Puka. They've got Kyron. They've got somebody else, Matt Stafford.
Somebody else?
Didn't they sign another one? Oh, they have Devontae. Wow. Sorry,
your
Devontae,
guy.
please forgive me.
So much for Tay's number one fan, dude.
Please forgive me, Mr. Tay.
Taco Bell Tay, they call
text
him
me later. text me later saying it's okay, buddy. But they had 6.4 in their fantasy power or their football power index last year, which was the second best team, only behind Seattle. This year they're projected to be the first ranked team. I think a lot has to do with how it is on both sides of the ball. But my only word to them is that they're cheaters because they apparently can get whatever they want whenever they want it, and they cheat. Vegas has them with 10.5 wins. Like I said, I think that's the highest that Vegas is going with these teams, but I had them smashing past that. Gar, meow.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm going to be super high in the Rams as well. I can't, the biggest thing for them would be if something happens to Matthew Stafford, and that was a huge concern. If anyone remembers, that was a huge concern going into last year. His back was tight or back injury or whatever it was, but then he played the full season and everything was fine. It was no big deal. Obviously, we know the Rams did pretty well last year, and they only got better, like you said, with Myles Garrett, maybe Aaron Donald coming back potentially. So they're actually my power rank number 1 team. I know that's going to sound bizarre because I was just talking about the Chargers. Sometimes it's just how the schedule lies. Even though I have the Chargers getting one more win, I do have the Rams power rank number 1 because I'm not stupid. Like Josh said, they're potentially one of the greatest favorites in the modern era, and it's possible because there are some aging players on that team. The team ends up being a dumpster fire, but I'm going to believe in health. I'm going to believe in the magic of LA to keep Matthew Stafford alive, all the different injections or procedures they could do to keep him on the field. So, yeah, I have them going 13-4, and I have them as Super Bowl favorites as well. Spoiler for next week, since both LA teams are on this week's show. The Super Bowl is in LA. I'm having it as an LA versus LA Super Bowl. The conspiracy is all the way in, and I'm a full believer.
Yep. No, I was going to say that's going to be just Roger Goodell's probably just sitting there like, oh yeah, buddy. That's right.
He's just creaming himself. They need to capture that LA fan base. Moving on, Josh, to the next L team here. We're going back to the AFC West is the Las Vegas Raiders. I have them going 8-9. I certainly think they certainly can't take a step back as an organization. I've always been pretty skeptical of Clint Kubiak because Clint Kubiak was originally here under his father Gary, and we had some very bad Vikings football, some very bad Vikings offense specifically when Clint Kubiak was here. I'm not going to pretend that he was working with the best of the best. So I'm always reluctant to give Clint Kubiak his flowers, even if he did just win the Super Bowl last year with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold himself would say he didn't necessarily play that great in the Super Bowl, but the offense as a whole, of course, we know did great. But yeah, all that's to say, Clint Kubiak, he's got to get this team more wins. He's got Ashton Genty. He's got a combination of Kirk and Mendoza. Crosby versus Cousins in the Sphere. I think that's going to be some sort of maybe in their bye week. That's going to be a boxing match or a UFC event in Las Vegas. I think that could sell a lot of tickets. But 8-9. Maybe in a couple of years this team can be great. I have them power ranked 18.
Well, DraftKings had them at 5.5 wins. I had them at 5. I have them going 5-12. They were one of the worst teams last year when it comes to the football power index, -7. So they were losing most games by a touchdown on a neutral field. This year they're only -4.5, which is still the same 28th rank. I think that they're on the up and up. My comment for them was soon, because
Sure.
that is kind of what happens. I think Mendoza has an opportunity to take over through if Kirk I think that's going to be a very short leash if Mendoza plays well and practices well, just because they want to see what they have, get him some snaps in the big time, so he can build that chemistry with some of the younger players they have. I don't know who they have at wide receiver. Is it still just Jacoby Myers?
They don't even have Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is a Jaguar.
That's right. So it's like Brock Bowers can't catch 600 passes this year. I mean, I suppose he could, but I think teams would figure that out. And Ashton Genty can't run it 600 times without imploding. So I think that that's going to be their biggest question mark. They need to get some pass catchers on the team. Look for the next draft to be their wide receiver draft, and then go from there. Otherwise, maybe they'll have a big name free agent signing or trade throughout the season. But I do think that 5-12 is decent projection for them. That's 2 more wins than last year. That's almost double. And then they're still power ranked in my mind in the low 20s. High 20s, whatever.
Trey Tucker is their number 1. They have former Vikings Jalen Naylor out there. They drafted whatever his name is, Zach Betch or something, Zach Beck last year. I think they draft someone this year. I don't recall, but yeah, bunch of no names at receiver for sure.
Yep. Which, that's been the Packers' method for a while, but they've always had a quarterback that can sling the rock and, all that fun jazz. Yeah, but 5-12, I think, is a respectable number. Moving on to your old secondary, third-area team, whatever you want to call them.
We've moved on, but yes, third area.
You've moved on. Okay, so it's no longer the team in Miami. The team that just absolutely shot themselves in the foot. They had 7 wins last year on the back of Achan, or Etienne as it's apparently pronounced, and Etienne's name is pronounced Achan. I don't know what's going on there. Are they trolling us?
Oh, there's two Achans in the league now, Josh. You just got to say Achan Jr. for Etienne.
No, Etienne or Devon Achan or whatever. He came out and said that his name is actually pronounced Etienne.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I just heard the Etienne is now Achan part.
Yeah, and so I'm like, are they just pulling our leg here?
As far as I understand, they're both Achan.
Okay, but they were the second worst team last year as far as the football power index goes, with 7 wins. So they were one of the ones that had more wins than you'd expect based on that. But then this year they are projected to be the worst at -6. Obviously, new head coach and Jeff Hafley, defensive-minded guy, hopefully is a one and done, so he can come back home to Green Bay, and then help our defense because fire in the gut isn't going to last too long, I don't think. And then they've got Malik Willis, who has been just nothing but a gentleman and a scholar. I do love me some Malik Willis. He was very positive with the Green Bay Packers. He apparently has been very nice to fans down in Miami. We'll see how long the niceness is reciprocated for fans to him if they go 2-15. Yep. But as far as my one-word note goes, hi, buddy. Asher, can you go upstairs, buddy? Daddy's talking. Friend, Daddy will be done in a little bit.
Hi, Asher.
Okay. My one-word note is choo-choo kerbloom. Just a choo-choo train of, hi, buddy, of explosions.
A train
Thomas
wreck
the Tank
someone.
Engine rear-ending diesel.
Oh, dude, not diesel.
But Vegas has them at 4.5 wins, which I think is one of the lower numbers that they had.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was a little bit more extreme in some of my prediction this year. I have Miami going 1-16. I'm not a believer in anything Malik Willis can potentially try and carry. One of my biggest reasons was, obviously the most talented player on their team is Achan, so that's nice. Jeff Hafley, I don't really have any feelings on. I got maybe in a couple years they'll be fine. But this year specifically, they're carrying $180 million of dead cap. They're very intentionally having a reset year. They're getting all their dead cap off the books basically this year. Obviously not 100% of it, but they're having a huge dead year on purpose so they can be better in the future. But I think that's going to heavily affect their product on the field this year as well. So they're my power ranked 30th team. I do, believe it or not, I do think they're going to be teams worse than the Miami Dolphins, but I have them going 1-16, so it doesn't get much worse than that. Moving on to their division rival, we have the AFC East New England Patriots. I have them going 10-7. Talk about another team that probably overachieved a little bit last year. They had, I think, the league's easiest schedule last year. So they're going to have a tougher schedule. They're going to have higher expectations. Drake May was historically efficient last year. I don't recall the stats off the top of my head, but I remember that was a big talking point last year. And I just think, I don't know, I see this team taking a step back. They got A.J. Brown, and I like A.J. Brown a lot from a fantasy perspective. Originally I didn't, but then people have convinced me otherwise. It seems like Trevion Henderson is not taking a step forward. He's going to be very much the same player he was last year. He was not a bad player. But still, that leaves some question marks for the offense, specifically in pass protection. And I don't know. I just think since they're not going to have quite as an easy of a ride, it's going to be worse for the Patriots. So I have them going 10-7. I do not have them as a Super Bowl contender, probably a fringe playoff team. I have them power ranked number 14. Josh, how do you feel about the Patriots?
Well, DraftKings had them at 10.5, so you're right around that projection. They finished last year with 14 wins, with 2.5 points in the Football Power Index, which was good for rank 10. So even last year, they performed well. They overperformed based on their win totals and what that index means. So they've won a lot of close games. I have them going 13-4, so one less win than last year. I do think that bringing in AJ. Another year under Vrabel's belt is helpful. Their defense was pretty solid. I don't think that it's necessarily Travion Henderson not taking a step forward, but it's more so just they have Ramondre Stevenson, so they're not going to put too much wear on Travion at this point. It's going to be a 50-50 split until, even last year, Ramondre proved that he can fumble the ball multiple times a game and still get carries. But as far as my comment goes for them, I said sneaky. Because we haven't really heard a whole lot other than AJ Brown is to that team, because Mike Vrabel's been doing some off the field stuff that has been taking the headlines. So that is going to be
shout out Diana.
So that they're sneaky in that regard, where we may get a 4-13 New England team as opposed to 13-4, but who knows? But yeah, I do think that they are a playoff team, but like you said, more of a fringe, even though I have them at 13-4, which is one of the higher records. That, based on their tougher schedule, that could be, like I said, 10-7, like you said, or even 8-9. So
you probably have them project, not that you project out the scores, but you probably have them in a lot of close games, a lot of one-score games that could go either way.
What do you mean? We didn't project scores too? I thought we were going to go week by week and tell the final score of each game. Yeah,
that's exactly what we did for sure.
Yeah. Moving on to the team in New Jersey that is the New York Giants, the NFC East. I don't want to call them darlings because nobody thinks that they're good at anything, but I have them doing much better than last year with 5-12 at their final record.
Much better than last year.
Vegas has them at 7.5 wins. Last year they had 4. That's one more game, Gar. They were basically even on that Football Power Index, right smack dab in the middle. They're actually projected to do worse this year. Malik Neighbors has some question marks around his knee still, apparently. Was it his knee or his ankle? I don't remember.
Great question.
I think they brought in Isaiah Likely. Those are their 2 best pass catchers. I don't know anybody else as far as Darius Slayton. Is he still in the league? They've got Tyrone Tracy. He couldn't block a pass rush if there was only one guy wearing a balloon that said, "Here I come." Wouldn't know who to pick up in that situation.
Oh no! Don't worry, they got Najee Harris now, bro. They got Najee Harris.
Yeah, Najee Harris has one eye, and isn't as good as people say he is. He had 1,000-yard season because Pittsburgh handed him the ball 700 times, so averaging 2 yards a carry is going to help with that. But I have my one comment is tied to their running back and their quarterback, and I just called them the CTEAM. So CTEAM. So it's their, all they need to do on defense is, maybe do a little bit more flex their abs, and then just kind of stand still when Cam Scadaboo's running towards them, because that boy is going to run headfirst into whatever's in front of him.
Oh no.
But that being said, if they stay healthy, I do think, and Malik Neighbors' knee isn't a concern starting the season, they could definitely perform that 7.5 Vegas gave them too.
I don't see that as likely.
No, right. I have the Giants going 3-14. I have them power ranked 29. So I'm having them doing way worse than last year per your metric for it. One less win. I'm personally very confused about the marriage here. I don't remember the order of head coaches. My memory wants to say that John Harbaugh was one of the last fill-ins, but I can't remember. Or maybe him and the GM or the owner made some sort of backdoor deal. But me personally, Josh, and I would love to be wrong, okay? Sometimes you find marriages of unusual couples. But to me, John Harbaugh, longtime coach of the Ravens, kind of a, I don't even know how I want to categorize him, but John Harbaugh does not feel like a Cam Scadabo or a Jackson Dart guy. Though that feels like that's going to be a culture clash over and over again. And considering the head coach just got the job, I have a feeling that John Harbaugh's ultimately going to win that domestic. Okay, I'm not thinking high things of this team. I think, again, there's just going to be a lot of culture differences between some of the team and John Harbaugh. Hopefully they can hold on to Neighbors and all that, get a different QB, but I just think there's going to be dysfunction in this team. Maybe in a couple years they'll be solid once they work all that out. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm predicting. Also, Matt Nagy is their OC. That's another reason they're going to be trash. So maybe John Harbaugh specifically picked Matt Nagy because he wanted the offense to do god awful, so he could get his own QB and RB in there. So if you want to put on your conspiracy tinfoil hat for a second, maybe Matt Nagy's intentional for John Harbaugh's ploy. I don't know, but I just see a lot of dysfunction in this team for a year or a couple. So moving on.
I think that, come week 3 or 4, we might see John Harbaugh wearing some frosted tips, wearing a visor and a bro tank on the sideline, headbutting players as they come off the field with their helmets on still. That could happen.
Maybe if they can get him into coke, maybe if they finally can get John Harbaugh into coke or Zins or something, maybe.
Well, Brian Daboll was still a big fatty when he was there, so they did not get him into coke. No. And so I don't know if they have access in that stadium. Maybe they're bringing Harbaugh in because they want to turn Cam and Jackson Dart into sweater vest wearing, Sunday morning preacher folk.
I mean, they're not full milk steak like Jim Harbaugh, but a Harbaugh is a Harbaugh, no matter which way you cut it. Moving across the parking lot to the New York Jets. I support what they're doing. I famously did a 3-year tank. I'm pretty sure there's a 3-year tank in Dynasty, and then I ended up winning the league, winning the pot. So I'm sure Aaron Glenn saw my Dynasty success, and he's like, you know what? We need to do a multi-year tank. Let's roll out Geno Smith and a bunch of corpses and whatever else. So I think they're going 1-16 this year. I think the multi-year tank could ultimately be successful, but they're clearly tanking for still top draft positions. At least that's my opinion. I have them power rank 31.
Yeah, DraftKings, Vegas, whatever you want to say, they have them at 5.5, which is surprisingly not the lowest number on this list.
That's
disgusting. Of just half the league. Yeah, that is that New York favoritism. So I would say that they could subtract 5 from that and still be over projecting. And that's because it's the Jets. They last year finished with a football power index of negative 9.3, which was 30th. They only had 3 wins. And then this year they're projected negative 5.5, which is 31st in the league. So not far off of that last place Miami's. But as far as me, I have them going 2-15. So double the wins that you had them going, which isn't saying a whole lot. But as far as my comments go, if they're latching their season onto Geno, I just said Geno, capital no in that, because I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. He's still writing letters because a lot of people doubted him, and a lot of people still are. And he's just focused on that as opposed to actually playing the game. Yes, they have Garrett Wilson. Yes, they have Breece Hall. But the quarterback is the one that gets the ball most often. Breece Hall has had his question marks because that offensive line has had their question marks. The defense is a question mark as well. So let's just pump the brakes on 5.5 there, Vegas, because if they make it that far, that's just a pipe dream.
I don't think the Jets want 5.5 wins. So that's what influence. I genuinely think they're tanking. And you can argue coaches and players can't tank, whatever. I don't know. Maybe Aaron Glenn is in on it. Maybe it's not. I don't think the Jets want to have 5 wins. So that influences my decision.
I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to make it past this season regardless.
Really?
Because I think that last year they're hoping that they actually had a team going, and then they come up and they look at the stats at the end of the season and go, we didn't turn the ball over we didn't get a single interception on defense. Aren't you a defensive mastermind? And then he probably just snorted a crayon and said maybe, and then walked out.
Shout out.
But yeah, so that's the New York Jets are the New York Jets. They're the Cleveland of the East Coast. Moving on to the NFC East team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them going 11-6. So basically, or actually, it is the same as last year. They got a little bit worse on offense by losing AJ Brown, but did they really? Because there were a lot of question marks about his involvement last year. Devontae Smith as the wide receiver one is interesting. There are high schoolers bigger than that guy, but he is still a pretty solid receiver. They've got Goddard, and of course they've got Saquon, and they've got the perennial cool guy, Jalen Hurts, who can't be bothered by anything, pumping his numbers up by tush pushing.
Did you see? They also got Lemon. They drafted Lemon.
Oh, I guess I haven't seen that because he hasn't done anything because he got hurt the first day of practice. But apparently, that if he does come back healthy, I think he's practicing again. But Vegas DraftKings has them at 10.5 wins. I had them half win over that. But they are, I think, still going to be a smash mouth football team. Run the ball first, tush push when they can, and pray that your league hasn't adjusted on sleeper to have negative quarterback rushing touchdowns. But yeah, so I had them kind of, they're still a playoff team in my eyes, but they also have kind of a cupcake schedule, playing the Giants in Washington a total of 4 times.
I got Philly doing 10-7. This was one of my perfect teams last year, so we'll see if I can hold on. I have them just having one less win, so right in the same ballpark. 2 years ago, they had Kellen Moore as OC, and then I don't even remember whatever bag of bones they had last year, but they already fired that guy. Sean Mannion is now their new offensive coordinator. It's his first time as an OC. Of course it is, because it wasn't even that many years ago where we were bitching about Sean Mannion being Kirk's main backup. And, and then he spent some time as the Green Bay quarterbacks coach, and now look at him. I would have to look it up to be precise, but there's no way it's been more than 5 years since Sean Mannion was the backup quarterback on the Vikings. So this man has moved quick into his coaching career. Good for him. Of course, Kirk loves Sean Mannion, therefore to be his guy in the quarterback room, to be helping him. So I'm not necessarily saying that he's going to be bad. I have them getting 10 wins, but I think it's very noteworthy that Sean Mannion is a first-time OC, and maybe that can be great for Sean Mannion. Maybe there's going to be some growing pains. It will be yet to be seen. There's still a lot of talent on that team no matter what. I said I think they're going to be a good team, but just not Super Bowl good. So I have them power rank 13. I'm pretty sure I have them making the playoffs. I'm not going to go look right now, but yeah, we'll see what the Eagles are capable of getting rid of AJ Brown and bringing in a rookie OC. Moving on to the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champions of the world, Seattle Seahawks. I have them going 14-3. They lost Kenneth Walker. I think they might have lost another piece or two on defense. I kept my notes short, so I didn't take down every change. But they just signed Terrion Arnold. And you can argue that he's a piece of shit human. Well, we can let the legal process play out. I'm not exactly sure, but undoubtedly makes their secondary better. There's no way he doesn't. So, arguably their defense took a step in the right direction. And Mike McDonald, the defensive head coach. So 14-3. It's hard to not have the Super Bowl champion ranked high. But Clint Kubiak is gone, so we'll see how the offense looks different this year. I have them power rank 2, only behind the Rams. Josh, how do you feel about the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions of the world?
Well, I have them going 13-4. Last year, they were the league's best in the Football Power Index with 7.2 as their number. They won 14 games last year. And this year, they're projected to be the 4th best with 3.6. Granted, those numbers kind of ebb and flow as the season goes on, so who knows what they finish as. Their defense is what led the charge in that, because their defense was a powerhouse. But Darnold played very well. They had JSN, they had Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, but Charbonnet, I believe, is on the PUP. They did bring in Jadarian Price, who was one of the top running backs in the draft. I believe he was pick 32, so I think they took him in the first round. And so it is a kind of a replacement there for Walker, who was kind of up and down with them. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think that they're going to repeat some success. I don't know if they'll be as dominant in the games on defense. But I do think that, as I put in my notes, Darnold Dearest, it's all up to him. Could you imagine having that man in your building and let him go? Stupid Jets.
Yeah, dude. Just because he saw ghosts, dude. Unbelievable.
Yeah, right. And then, wherever you went after that, 49ers. silly
Idiot
gooses.
Panthers, idiot Niners, dude. God, a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other teams that he was on?
No, I think that's it. I think he went right from the 49ers to the Seahawks.
Yep, within the division. Yep, no, that makes perfect sense.
Just like that.
Yep. Moving. He was roommates with Daniel Jones. Was that an Indy?
Yeah, I think it was an Indy. I think he was there just as like a camp body,
Yep. Moving on to the next team. So we don't get too far into that because I don't want people to cry. It's going to be the Seattle's main competition in my opinion. Well, I guess never mind because Los Angeles isn't. That's a tough division. I'd hate to be in that. Sorry, Arizona. But San Francisco,
NFC West
I have
is
them
rough.
going. I have them going 13-4. Last year they won 12 games with a power index of 2.2. This year they're projected to be better. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the injuries can't keep happening. But then again,
but they already have.
my one word was substation because I feel like it needs its dues. I feel like it needs to be acknowledged because if it's not acknowledged, it feeds. And so far, it's fed on Mike Evans. It's fed on half that defense. I don't know who's left, but
Christian McCaffrey tightness. Watch out for that tightness. It could be shades of 2024.
Yeah, well, they didn't even report tightness in 2024 because I had him on my team. And so 10.5 wins is what Vegas is projecting. I have them at 13-4, which is one more than last year. Gar, meow.
Based on the substation needing offers, I need I need to not believe in the 49ers this year. They lost their OC and their DC. Bobby Saleh is now the head coach of the Titans, so we'll talk about on Tuesday. They're a super solid squad, I guess, yeah, because we didn't do this at AFC and NFC. I can't refer to something I would have said earlier, but I think they're a super solid squad. Like the Lions, plenty, not as much, but decent paper team. But I think their window's closed. I don't know if Shanahan needs to get fired or if they just need to do a full reset. It is unfortunate that the 49ers obviously do a lot better than 7-10 most years. So I'm definitely more down on them than their recent history would indicate, but I can't. Between the injuries and their unique drafting is a way to put it. I don't know. I can't believe in this team anymore. It's nothing against Brock Purdy, who is lukewarm to me. CMC, if he has the same year last year, they're guaranteed at least double-digit wins. I fully acknowledge, but I can't do it again, Josh. I can't do it again. So I have them going 7-10, and I'd love to be wrong. I have them power ranked 19th.
Yeah, I also forgot Pearsall got hurt and was out for the year before the year even started.
Yeah, Pearsall, shut up. So the injuries are already mounting up. The substation will continue to feed. And I don't think the Vikings play the 49ers this year, and that's something I'm great. Oh, we do. But we play them at home, so we're good. We play them in November, but we play them in Mexico City. So we leave the country to play the 49ers. That's how much the Vikings refuse to go near that substation. We're going to Mexico City for that one. Moving on to our 16th and final team. I'm sure Josh had to get out here a while ago, but we had a late start, and then we were kind of a yappy boys. We got the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, of course, had an amazing rookie season. They were a very exciting team last year, very unexciting. I have them going 8-9. They have a new OC and a new DC. Shout out to Daretone Jones, Vikings defensive coach, went over there to be their DC. If Daniel stays healthy, I could see this team being a wild card team. They did just add Stephon Diggs on there. I think last year Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin only played together a total of like 4 or 5 games. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just pulling that out of the top of my head. So if this team stays healthy, yeah, I could definitely see them as a playoff team. Right now, I have them power ranked 17th. Just not fully believing in 2 new coordinators. Dan Quinn obviously is an okay head coach. Jaden Daniels is very exciting, but a lot is to be desired from me. While there's upside, I have them closer to the middle ground. How do you feel about the Commanders, Josh?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Vegas has them at 7.5. I had them going 6-11, and that it could be on the health of the quarterback, could be on how he gels with Diggs. And Terry, tight end is still, I believe, is Zach Ertz still their tight end one, which at this point, just retire, buddy. Last year, they were negative 3.2 on the power index, which was the 22nd rank. They had 5 wins. This year, they're projected to be in the negatives, but just less than 0.8. So 21st ranked. I think that 6 wins is kind of their floor, I would say, and I would say 5 is their floor, but he might sue me.
Oh, you can't say that.
And which was my note? 5, sue me.
Nice, dude. And we all know the OG 5 is Bortles, so I'm a big believer in the boat. So
yeah, or McNabb.
I don't know. Bortles is the only 5 that's ever mattered.
Yeah, like McNabb, Vikings legend.
Bro, I'll still never. I know you need to go, but I will never forget McNabb. We signed McNabb. There's that whole bit with him and Chris Kalu. I was like, okay, maybe the team has good vibes. They're doing the ice cream cone bit or whatever. And then I don't remember if it's a home game or if we're in. I think it was still San Diego at the time. Must have been. And on the very first play, I think McNabb either fumbled or threw a pick six. And I was just like, okay, that just set the tone for the whole season, didn't it? It was, and I do not recall McNabb being very good at all. So, but that first play just really set the fucking tone, dude. And I think we were backed up too, like on our own goal line or something. Like it was a very bad kick, like a kickoff return or something. I don't remember all the details. I could be misremembering some, but woof, that McNabb experience did not work out for the Vikes.
No, it did not.
Anywho, anything else you want to talk about the East or the West divisions, Josh? Otherwise, I know Ash already harassed you. Nikita's not interested in being a single parent right now, so I can release you. We'll be back here on Tuesday, and we won't have baseball and stuff to talk about, so Tuesday will certainly be a quicker show.
Yeah. Nothing else to add. Asher's been in here, popped in a handful of times, ready to go. I think we're gonna go out for a walk with the pup and then go on a picnic and then kind of go from there. But kid skips his nap, so his bedtime's like 5 o'clock now.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean he's getting up at 3 a.m. or what? That's brutal for you.
5:30ish. Other notable greats to wear number 5, apparently.
Oh boy,
Desmond Ridder.
Okay.
For Minnesota Vikings. Desmond Ridder. Chris Kluwe.
Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, sure.
Dan Bailey. Mekhi Blackman. Greg Davis. Ty Smith. John Wolford. Mike Wood.
Well,
Jalen Reagor.
Folks.
Sorry.
Shout out to all the 5s in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, we will be back here on Tuesday evening, probably around 7-ish, whenever Josh can put his son to sleep and have some me time. But those were the East and the West divisions. We'll be back on Tuesday with the North and the South. Hopefully the South will not rise again. We'll see you then, everybody.
Bye. Go Packers.
Boo.